Hi guys, we're live! And just like any good band that you go and see, we're fashionably late. I know I scheduled the stream for 8 p.m. UK time. I think we're about 12 minutes late, but we're here. And we're here to talk IndyCar. Robbie in chat, miss you too. Good to see you kind of in chat as well. Good to see kind of regulars like Scott in chat as well. Good to see Brendan, Caleb as well. Alex, yes, we have Kitty Central over here.
I'm holding a cat.
Hello, Palo!
What a drive.
From Alex Palou, it was, yes. Because he still managed to finish on a podium. I still haven't processed Sunday. So much happened
Wait.
in terms of that. Yeah, we're probably going to have to do a go over there. Corn!
No corn today.
No corn today. This podcast is not brought to you by Corn. Nick, great to see you. Great to see you in chat as well. For now, 4 thumbs up already. 10 viewers in stream. Great to see you guys in chat. If you're getting bells, notifications, whatever, and stuff through here. But yes, I've done it as something different. I've called it the IndyCar Show.
Whoa.
So
I wasn't even consulted on this.
Episode 1, IndyCar Show, where we just talk IndyCar.
Nice.
You know, there's no kind of theme for it. There's no kind of whatever. It's a live stream. You guys are in chat. We'll probably talk a bit about the race on Sunday because it was absolutely manic in the live watch along.
I've got numbers
of the race. Stephen's got numbers. So we're going to go through some numbers in there. Then we can talk about general IndyCar stuff, whatever you kind of bring up in chat, we can discuss. And yeah, as always, this is a place for you to share your love of IndyCar with us. And hopefully we make it a safe space for all IndyCar lovers.
A safe space.
No! Let's go at each other with opinions. Hello, Pata, Joe Nugaidu. It doesn't work, does it?
Joe New.
That's why we haven't done it, really. Doesn't really work.
Come on, Newgarden, get a bit of name already.
Right. That's why you've only won 2. You're the number 2 car. He's even self-prophesizing that he only wins 2. He has number 2 on his car. Go from there. Best oval race I've seen in years. It was a fantastic oval race. Right. Before I get too carried away in chat, because as always, and fans of the channel will know, I get carried away. So I will go off on side tangents. I will read a chat and we'll probably spend about 15-20 minutes there, and Stephen will be sitting there still wanting to do numbers. So we're going to start off with Stephen's numbers.
Start with numbers.
There we go. We're starting off with Stephen's numbers. I'm throwing him in.
They're not very original. I got them from the IndyCar app.
We don't have to be original.
From the source. Some of them are pretty crazy. I'm not sure which ones are like fun or not fun.
Keep your questions coming in chat about the race. We will have we'll go through that and go off on the kind of discussion of the race. From that, I've seen a good one about whether the noon start, do we think, played a difference? Yeah.
5 different teams led the race.
Can we name them?
Can you name them?
Ganassi.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow McLaren.
Uh-huh.
Team Penske.
Uh-huh. 2 to go.
Dale Coyne Racing.
Uh-huh.
Andretti Autosport.
Yeah, with which driver?
I want to say Colton Herta.
Uh-huh. Nice. Nailed it.
Look at this. Woo!
Along with 5 different teams, there were 8 different drivers to lead the race.
Oh, now we've got to do that.
Them?
Right.
I haven't got a list of them, so I can't confirm.
Well, we can see if we can get this in chat.
There.
Right. Newgarden.
Yeah.
Pato Palou. Podium, all led.
Yeah.
I think Grosjean led for a short while.
Did he? Let's put him in the main lead.
Well, we're going Colton Herta because he definitely led.
Dixon led. Tim Malukas.
Stingray.
No, yeah, Stingray
Rob. That's led for like a brief lap.
2 to go.
Did Marcus Ericsson lead a lap at some point?
Felix led a lap.
But obviously, yeah, because did he?
No, later on
'cause-
in the race, he wasn't pitting and he went to the front.
Felix Rosenqvist.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, that would be it. Malukas will be snapped up by a larger team in the next year. Oh, sorry,
sure.
I thought that was a team there. We'll come on to these ones. Keep these. There's loads of great kind of questions and discussions coming up in chat. We'll head on to those when we go from there. 15 viewers, only 11 thumbs up. What's going on? Stephen, carry on your numbers.
Out of the final top 10, we've got Rowdy Crowd and Tara banging on a door. I got distracted. On the final 10 finishing positions, 7 teams were represented. 7 out of 10 different teams.
That's pretty impressive.
No, that doesn't make sense. But 7 different teams out of the final top 10. Most improved race position, 15 positions gained.
Rinus VK.
Yes.
Knew that one. Saw it post-race. But quietly under the radar, I guess because they had such a poor starting position. They're gone. But a kind of interesting throwback, shall we say, in terms of, obviously, Texas was Rinus VK's first race within the NTT IndyCar series and his first DNF in the series because he crashed out, colliding with Alex Palou.
Yeah.
So there you go. Useless fact I remember there.
Can you name his 2? Do you remember his starting position and finishing position?
I'm going to say, did he finish P?
I guess you only need one and then you go 15 either way.
Yeah, did he finish P11?
Yeah.
So that means that he started P26.
Nice.
Whoa!
I thought
Look at us go.
Let the maths go there. Let's see.
93 passes from Award. Wow.
26 lead changes during the race. 26.
That's insane.
I guess most of those were at the beginning and then at the end. But there we go. 28 entries, the most since 2011 at Texas.
Wow. That is a big one.
Let's see. Yeah, I think you already read the Pato stat. Someone had in chat 93 on-track passes made by Pato Awards.
And still didn't win the race. Mad. It was just that Zen bit in the middle of the race, wasn't he? Where he was just like insane. Just overtaking everything.
169 passes for position in the top 5.
At how many?
169.
Wow. Wow.
But these numbers are only going to go up from here.
Wow.
We got Scott Dixon 194 top 5 finishes for Scott Dixon.
That's impressive.
He's now finished 52.3% of races in the top 5 they started.
That's pretty crazy.
256 number of passes for position in the top 10. So 169 in the top 5.
This is what you get from oval
256
racing,
in the top
though, isn't
10.
it? This is what you get from oval racing. It is an enormous amount of overtakes on track, but that's what kind of makes it enthralling. And especially if it goes green for so long, the chaos of the field kind of going in with each other it's mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello.
Tara's been a very vocal member of the live stream today. She really wants to get a point across that she's unhappy that Pato didn't win the race.
I'm unhappy too, but I'm not shouting everywhere. Yeah, that shut her up. 2 more numbers. So we had 256 number of passes for position in the top 10. How many do you think in the whole race for the whole grid?
Passes per position.
Mm-hmm.
So 256 was the top 10.
Yep.
I'm going to go double that. 512.
Yeah, in the right area. 439 passes
Wow.
for position.
Wow.
For the whole race.
That's a load.
And then the final number I got is number of passes in the race. So this includes lap traffic.
Oh, wow. That's got to be crazy, isn't it?
I'll
That's
let
got to be
you-
like 760.
Wow, 700.
Pato passed a lot of cars. No,
we gotta push those numbers up.
it's higher.
Yeah,
1,000?
you're getting close.
1,100?
1,070 passes in the
Wow.
race.
That's insane. Absolutely insane.
Nuts.
I think that
250 laps.
I think drawing from those numbers, and we'll go into the chat and kind of start some discussions from what you guys go for there. I think there's an interesting discussion going on about one of the star performers from the race, which was Malukas. It was just an unbelievable race. Like I think people said, it's one of the best races we've had at Texas for years. It's a shame that it finished under caution, but also I think John brought it up in chat. It was totally right that it finished under caution. You don't want to go down the route of red flagging it, clearing up the track, and then having 2 laps of green. I don't think that's manufactured entertainment. It was an exhilarating race. Would I have loved a kind of straight shootout with Joseph Newgarden and Pato straight to the finish line? Absolutely, I would have. But that's racing. If someone brings out the caution because they crashed, bang, that's it, race over. And in fairness, it gave us all a breather because those last kind of 13 laps or 12 laps beforehand were mental. Like Palou, Newgarden, I lost track. I think we kept on. We were like, oh, that looks like it's settled. No, someone else is going around the outside. Someone else is passing position. Someone's there. It was mental. Everyone was just absolutely going hell for leather, and it was mental. That's my word. Mental. Right, let me just scroll back through chat and see if I can. I'll try and go from there. Hail, the gang's all here. Thank you, DJ O'Connor. Great to see you in chat. Worst thing about Texas is the people clamoring for IndyCar to adopt the GWC rule. Is that the
+2 laps? If there's,
I'm presuming that's what we're talking about. So we've obviously just said that. I don't agree with it. Do you agree with it?
No.
There we go. Races are fine to finish under caution. I got to head back to work, but we'll rewatch the stream tonight. What a race at Texas. Great. Well, hope the rest of your day at work goes all right. Thanks for tuning in and hope you enjoy the stream later on. Year 2 for Malukas, I think is going to be good. I'll tell you what, Malukas has come up quite a lot. Let's go on to the Malukas thread for the moment.
Finished P4 in the end?
Last year, I think a lot of people did still rate Malukas because he pushed him hard with Kyle Kirkwood, but a lot of the hype was around Kyle Kirkwood. Won every championship every year that he competed in, driving up to IndyCar.
Yeah.
He was super talented, backed by Andretti. If Colton Herta had secured the Alfa Romeo seat, then he would have been driving for Andretti last year. He's driving for Andretti this year as the seat was made vacant from Alexander Rossi. But out of the 2 drivers so far, Malukas looks like the one who's found his feet sooner in IndyCar.
Yeah. Can't agree with you more. It's just the calm consistency of him. Like you say, he's a bit under the radar compared to the star boy of Kyle Kirkwood and Andretti's chosen child to bring them success in the future. But we've seen sometimes with Kirkwood, he's kind of snatched at chances and is ended up in incidents. And it's kind of a bit questionable about decision making. But Malukas, you never have. I don't remember any kind of big instance where he's kind of rushed that. And he's just consistently improved. And now he's come up with a top 4 at Texas Super Speedway.
Yeah. It's it was a great performance. And I think overall, I saw a comment in chat that maybe he can't deliver on the road courses as well, but I'm pretty sure he's, been consistently finding top 10 finishes with Dale Coyne Racing last year. Not maybe consistently, but I remember he pulled out some kind of strong performances from there. And he did lose out to Rookie of the Year with Christian Lundgaard last year, but you'd probably expect Christian Lundgaard to have taken that home, as he did have the best machinery out of himself, Callum Ilott, Kirkwood and Malukas. But it was funny you said that it was kind of rash, maybe snaps at chances. There's a lot of, I mean, we'll tie in these two because I think as they came up together is that I know Callum Ilott and Lundgaard came in as well, but they kind of paired together as the kind of European, obviously Callum Ilott is English like us and Christian Lundgaard is Danish. They come as the kind of European F2 section from there, but Kirkwood and Malukas came up from the Road to Indy in IndyCar. But you said he was rash. Very similar arguments you could maybe make for Colton Herta.
Yeah.
And they're both driving for Andretti Autosport.
Yeah.
And the man who seemed rash last year within that team, Romain Grosjean, has seemed to have calmed it down. We'll come on and have a proper chat about Grosjean before kind of... we won't do that. I'll see if there's any comments on Malukas as we're going from there. Bro, his car was fast the other day. Let's see him drive. Is there an update on the T-shirts? No, I haven't been able to get that sorted yet, but we will get that sorted done. Thank you for keep reminding me. We'll go from there. If there's any kind of New York-based IndyCar fans, I am there this weekend. I'm not going to... If you can play Spot the Mic in New York. Go from there. Biggest surprise performance at Texas. We will come on to that. Grosjean, Alec, great one to bring up. Like I said, we'll siphon off into Grosjean. We'll go from after we kind of finish on Malukas. Green, white, checkered. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly that thing of not finishing. I was in the stands and I don't think anyone around me was at all disappointed that it finished on a yellow. Such a satisfying race. Absolutely. I think it was. I didn't come out of that race going, obviously we felt bad for Pato. I think that was kind of reflected in chat as well. Everyone felt bad because Pato had driven such a fantastic race at times and it could have gone either way between him and Joseph Newgarden. But also Joseph Newgarden had driven an amazing race, kind of keeping with Pato and making sure he stayed with him throughout that whole race. And his experience and success at that circuit was probably what got him over the line as well. Are you traveling over the US for the Indy 500 this year? We would love to, Caleb, but not this year.
Not this year.
There, Ilott, to me, seems to be a better all-round talent. Is that than Malukas?
Interesting. I want to come on to Callum Ilott in the Malukas chat because he finished ninth. On that. Was this his? This isn't his first race on a super speedway, is it?
No, because he did the full season last year.
Yeah. But this is his third race on a super speedway. And he's finished in top 10, ninth position. His career best finish on an oval, which is pretty impressive, considering he's only been doing it for 2 years.
I'm going to be honest with you. Callum Ilott, although he won't get the stats of being an exceptional rookie because of the way Hunkus, Hollinger Racing are coming up, Rod Brown thinks that he's a better all-round talent. I think he's been pretty exceptional since his time in IndyCar.
Yeah.
On road courses, street courses, and now on ovals as well. He has what that kind of good... You could potentially see him as a Ganassi driver in the future because he is like a Dixon. He is a Palou. He just keeps himself out of trouble. We know from his F2 days, given the machinery, that qualifying, he does have that raw pace and speed, but he keeps himself out of trouble within the race, and he's just been collecting great position, and it's very similar to Jack Harvey's journey with Marshank, although Hunkos Hollinger Racing have they were in IndyCar, pulled out and come back in, where Marshank were kind of like a new team, and it took them longer to establish to a full season. But I see similarities in terms of that journey, that they seem to just work really good together. And yeah, it's fantastic, I think. But for IndyCar, what we say is, and I think we said this at the end of last year, and it looks continued this year, we've got fantastic drivers who their best days are behind them, although Will Power winning the championship makes it difficult to say that.
Yeah.
But you got your Scott Dixons, you got your Helio Castro Neves, you're probably saying your Simon Pagino's into that category now. I know he was motivated for Marshank, but it isn't quite working. The Graham Rahals of the world, I know obviously he hasn't necessarily been championship contender, but he's been a very competitive driver within the series. That next batch of talent coming, starting with the kind of age group of VK Polo, Pato. Then obviously after that, you've got Kirkwood, Malukas. You've even got Herta, in that age group with Pato as well. You've got Malukas, Kirkwood, Eilert, Lundgaard. Probably the weakest batch of rookies that have come in, I would say, with Pedersen. It's difficult to tell. Stingray Rob, although Stingray Rob was running very well until he crashed out as well. But, it probably is the weakest rookie batch we've had for a little while.
Probably. There are no big names in there.
But I think that's probably just on the back of there's so many of the good youngsters coming through are holding on to their seats that there isn't really any seats or attractive things to come from there. And how do I think Marcus Armstrong? Obviously, forget that. He's sharing the seat, isn't he, with Takuma Sato?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we didn't see him this weekend.
Yep.
Interesting, because he was looking all right, I think, in his debut back in St. Pete. Obviously, Long Beach is another street course. It'd be interesting to see. Too challenging, and obviously Long Beach, the longest standing race on the IndyCar calendar after the Indy 500. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. I'm not sure how well he will do, Dom, but he will probably, I reckon, be the best of the rookies that have come through this year. Racing is just such a strange sport. There have been so many can't miss drivers that just did that. Exactly. Everyone expected Malukas to take a step back since he lost key personnel to bigger teams, but Malukas has been good. He has been good.
Yeah.
He has. And if he continues, he will earn himself a bigger ride.
So I just realised you got this. Nice.
It was rustling, Stephen. He was like, I can't concentrate
why
around
have you got
here.
that behind your back? What are you saying?
I was talking about if Malukas and Eilert continue to perform, they will be in bigger teams.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, Kirkwood's already got himself, in theory, to a bigger team in Andretti Autosport, although their consistency over the last 4 or 5 seasons hasn't necessarily put them in that big team bracket. You'd probably say over that period, Arrow McLaren have been a bigger team.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes, it'll be interesting because it feels like there's tons of talent. At the moment, we got a super competitive grid. But I feel that also makes it quite crowded as well. Like, it's not obvious where driver changes can happen. Like Penske was saying, Will Power's locked down. So we can't really see anyone going to Penske unless anyone gets the sack for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, because Scott McLaughlin is tied in there for long, and Joseph Newgarden obviously won't be going anywhere because he challenges for the championship every year.
Yeah. Got McLaren, which is pretty solid, although maybe they're the most likely out of the kind of big teams to make.
I would say Felix's seat's at risk. He held on to it with performances at the back end of last year. But if he continues to do what he did at Texas, which seems to be a theme of his McLaren career, but I suppose he was completely out of it at McLaren. then he found a way of qualifying well, and it just wasn't in races. So we didn't necessarily we thought Felix was probably dead in the water at Aero McLaren. He found a way there. He's got the talent to find a way to then start converting those qualifying performances and finishing within the top 5 as well.
Yeah. The rest of the roundup, Chip Ganassi, that seems like a very solid team at the moment. Can't really see anyone leaving there.
Funnily enough, I would probably say that Marcus Ericsson is the most at risk. It's difficult because he won the Indy 500 last year, and for a large part of the season, he was in the championship fight. But a large reason why he was in that championship fight was because he won the Indy 500 and double points were awarded. Well, obviously, double points have gone now. So the two Swedes, in Felix and Ericsson, I think are the most at risk.
This is becoming targeted right now.
Yeah.
Be careful.
The Swedish are going to be after me.
Protect the Swedes from this guy.
I still love your meatballs.
Nice recovery.
It's a good save. It's a good save.
Then who have we got left? Andretti, out of the big teams of drive changes. Again, the only thing that disrupts Andretti at the moment, I feel, is F1, where they may lose drivers to F1, but can't really see them getting into F1.
Exactly.
Can't really see any big changes there because they've locked up Cole Kirkwood.
They have indeed.
Yeah.
They have indeed. Now, Devlin Di Francesco, possibly, yeah. I think if he continues to do what he's doing this season, which was very much a mirror of his rookie season last year, that seat will either be gone, there won't be anyone in it, or they'll replace him.
Yeah.
Because he isn't really kicking on.
But we've just been through 14 there, over 10 drivers, and we can only really pick out a couple that are like, yeah, they may go. But there's also no indication that it's likely. And so for the likes of Malukas and Ilor and maybe even VK, it's like, how do they make the move to a big team?
So I guess within that is you go, VK's well backed, Malukas is well backed. Do they just invest heavily in the teams that they're in?
Yeah.
And make their team a big team? Because within IndyCar, it is so competitive. Obviously, VK has won a race with Ed Carpenter Racing. Malukas could have quite easily got a kind of podium, couldn't he, in the last race? But obviously finishing that top 4, it's a difficult one to do on that basis. But I think Andretti, one that was brought up in chat, I think we've got to speak about him. Romain Grosjean, and we'll come back to this biggest surprise because I think that tailors into kind of willpower. In terms of Scott said his biggest surprise was he was just non-existent in the race.
True.
And go from there. So we can go off that one. But let's focus on Grosjean first. Gutted for him because I think he drove a fantastic race.
Yeah.
And he also drove a fantastic race in St. Pete, but he's had 2 races this season and he hasn't finished either. And he hasn't really done a lot wrong. The one, obviously, Scott McLaughlin took responsibility for in St. Pete, although he had to really go for it, didn't he? Because Scott came out on cold tyres, so he had to get ahead of him because it's very difficult to overtake. It would have been very difficult to overtake McLaughlin if they'd stayed out in front of him, if he hadn't have made the move stick. The question is, could he have waited till later in the lap? But I guess you probably want to hit those tyres when they're at their coldest. So it's always a tricky one. And as a driver, if you back yourself, you've got to go for it, haven't you?
Exactly.
And then this one was, he had the fresh set of tyres. He had the little kind of splash of fuel. He had the car that if he could just get past Malukas and get onto the back of Palou, there was definitely a podium there, you would have felt. And he may have even nicked 1 or 2. off Pato and Newgarden if they were fighting and he had just kind of taken the right kind of stream on it.
Yeah.
You know? So there was a big finish on him, and Grosjean is doing the opposite of how Scott Dixon liked to win championships in terms of he will risk it all for the big result.
But yeah, I think that's the perfect way to sum it up. He gave it absolutely everything and just crossed that line marginally and ended up in the wall. And that was it.
What I think is exciting about Grosjean this season is he's tailored it down from last year.
Yes.
He seems calmer. He seems to have pulled himself away and gone, I'm just going to focus this year. And we're now seeing the Grosjean who performed so well with Dale Coyne Racing in his rookie season within the sport. And there's a very fine line he is here between title contender and very competitive driver. His thing that will stop him being a title contender is the fact that he's driving for Andretti Autosport. Just because consistently they've had races where they find way to lose races.
Yeah. They're consistently that team.
Yeah. But I'm really excited to see what Grosjean can do this year.
Kai hasn't even won a race yet. It's crazy to think about.
I know.
But I think last year, he just got involved in too much. Like you're saying, if he brings it back down to his Dale Coyne performances in the machinery Andretti can give him, you think he's got to be close. He's got to be close. He could have got a race win in St. Pete. He could have easily got a podium, at least at Texas. He's very close. And maybe if he just gets that first win in the series, everything will start falling into place for him.
I think that could be there. If he comes out next week and wins at Long Beach, what is next week? Soon. I think it is next week.
I don't know.
It's not this week, is it?
Long Beach is 16th of April.
Wow. Again, it's a bit of a longer break. It's 2 weeks gap, isn't it? And then it's the following week. So it's technically 3 weeks. Anyway, sidetracked. As always.
No, it's next week. Next weekend.
Is it 16th April next weekend? Yeah, it must be. I've gone lost it. It's next weekend. We'll go from there. Herta and Grosjean are mirror images. Brilliance and then flame out spectacularly at the same time. I think so. And I think you could probably put Kirkwood into that category, although he hasn't quite found his feet yet in terms of competing. But obviously in St. Pete, he was qualifying within the Fast Six. It was next week. Thank you, Joss. And good to see AM and chat. Great show, guys. You're the best IndyCar YouTube channel out there. Appreciate that. Thank you for the love. Really appreciate it. You're going. Awesome. Have an amazing time, Joss. We're jealous. Wish we could be there.
Yeah. Long Beach. Oh,
what a race,
definitely got to be one to tick off.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just have to earn enough money that we just come and do it.
One to tick off. I'd love to do the whole calendar.
We just take a year out of work and come and do a season in IndyCar. Once we get Indy Fanatics thing, we'll be the live coverage. Pato was flying at Texas. He was. And we'll come and we'll talk about Pato's dominance probably at some point. But yeah, to round off on Grosjean, I'm really fascinated. I think there's a top 5 in the championship from this year.
Yes. Yeah.
How high he finishes in that top 5 will all depend on whether he can convert that fine balance. If he gets a win within the next 1 or 2 races, so essentially Long Beach and Barber, isn't it? Then it could be a really interesting season. If he doesn't, it's going to be Colton Herta 2022. I'm pretty sure. You'll look back at a load of seasons going, he should have won that. A load of races going, he should have won that race, and then somehow found a way to lose.
Yeah.
Which F1 guys should attend? We mainly just attend Silverstone, although even this year, I think that's been kind of extortionately priced. That's the thing. Like, if we were in the States, the IndyCar races are so reasonable.
Yeah.
In terms of we'd go to so many of them. But yeah, the F1 races, you could probably go to about 6 or 7 IndyCar races for the same price, which is mad and mental to think, really. But yeah, right, okay, Grosjean, and then what was I going to shift into? Biggest surprises from the weekend. So we'll start off with Scott's kind of willpower. Big disappointment. I think his title defense hasn't really kicked off yet, but I don't know where Will is. He put so much into last year, winning that championship. He secured the new contract. I don't know if it's going to almost in the championship. He can't quite it's so difficult to win back-to-back championships in this series. I don't think he'll even finish in the top 5 this year. But after his kind of first stint where he just absolutely dropped like a lead balloon, he was out of the race, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He just never recovered. And it did not work out for him whatsoever. Do you feel like his focus would just be maybe winning another Indy 500 this year? It wasn't a great warm-up for it.
It's true. But I don't know. I think it's too early to start jumping to season predictions for Will. Yeah, maybe he kind of takes the season and just looks at each individual race. Maybe I have a solo weekend and then a non-existent weekend. I haven't seen anything that's maybe gone, oh, it's old Will, or we've taken a step back here. Obviously, last season is always going to be difficult to follow up on the sheer consistency showed at the top end of the grid.
I just think everyone's been so good. I don't think he's particularly been bad. Obviously, when your tyres go and you lose position on track, it can be really bad. But I think everyone else has just been excellent. I think the level of racing we've seen this year has been unbelievable.
So I'm not worried about Will. Yeah, maybe you can go slightly disappointed. Where was he? You know, this is a guy who's strong on these tracks. Where was he? In all the carnage, how has he managed to not get he wasn't even in the top 10, right?
No.
And then you got the likes of Ilott in the top 10. Just sorry to pick on Ilott, but yeah. But I'm not worried. It's just a bit of an off day. He had that one bad stint and never really recovered. Maybe they just never. Maybe they're always on catch up after that on setup, and they never got it right.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly long season. I think we've got a lot more to see from Will this year.
We've seen plenty of times in the last few years when Newgarden hasn't had a great start to the season, but somehow is still in the championship fight at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is key in any racing championship to be successful. So you can have a slow start, but you can, if you just kind of build on it easily, you can be right back up there. But it's going to be tough because there are a lot of guys who just look incredible. And correct me if I'm wrong, chap, but I believe we haven't had a back-to-back winner in IndyCar in terms of championship since Dario Franchitti, and I want to say 2010, 2011, or maybe 2009, 2010. With Chip Ganassi Racing, it's very hard to do. Even Scott Dixon, who has won as many championships as he's done, has struggled in this era of IndyCar to win back-to-back championships. So I think that says how difficult it is to do so. So I don't think it's even saying that Will would have a bad season if he didn't have the championship again, because so many great drivers haven't been able to do it. Surprising, Nick. Canapino and Pedersen, RLL, so Rahal Letman Lanigan and Marshank Racing and Ed Compter Racing being so far off with their setup was surprising as well. I think all of those were surprising. Canapino really did have his strongest kind of out, but I know he's a rookie, but he is an experienced driver. Callum Ilott does very clearly seem to be driving that team forward. Canapino hadn't quite there, but it was a strong performance for him.
I think he still finished 11th, didn't he?
Yeah, which, for his first super speedway is a fantastic result.
12th, sorry.
Yeah, did a good job. He did. That's all he needs. Juncos Hollinger Racing need from him at the moment. They know that they're in their stage of their development. Every team go into a race and they want to win the race, of course. But they realise they're only just coming back into and they're competing against a lot of really established teams within the series. It isn't going to be easy. Ilot's doing fantastic. It's now his second season. If Canapino can start putting in performances like that, really good. Really good.
Yeah. The other two was Egg Carpenter Racing and Rahal Lemon Lanigan.
Yeah, Rahal Lemon Lanigan, Meyer Shank Racing, and Ed Carpenter Racing just been completely off it.
Especially, we were talking about it in the watch along, Meyer Shank Racing, with two, you could say, oval specialists, kinda, because they both had incredible results on ovals.
Yeah.
And where were they? At no point was either Pagenaud or Elio really in the question for top 5.
Yeah.
Even top 10, I don't know. I don't remember them getting in the fight for top 10.
They were just at the back. They were nowhere. They were nowhere, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
And
for an Indy 500 winning team is kind of a bit worrying. I know the Indianapolis is a completely unique track and experience, but it is still a super speedway, and somehow they just haven't got anything right last weekend.
I'm going to say the split between, and we mentioned it, I think, in the live stream on Sunday, the split between Jack Harvey and Meyer Shank has completely negatively affected both in terms of it.
Them and Rahal Lemon Lanigan.
It hasn't worked out for Rahal Lemon Lanigan with Jack Harvey at this current time. And that team almost seemed to have taken a step back as we gave them a huge jinx going into the 2022 season.
I'll take the full blame. You don't have to jump in on the
No. Steve, we created a whole video going, can Rahal Lemon Lanigan compete, like be a big team or something, step into it. We debated this. And they had a shocking season apart from Christian Lundgaard.
I put 2 of them in my top 5.
Yes. No, you did that as well on the back of that video. So, yeah, we really stuffed them there. And Meyer Shank Racing, with experience of Simon Pagenaud and Elio Castro-Neves. Obviously, Elio Castro-Neves got the full-time seat after winning the Indy 500. Bags of experience. On paper, it just screams success. But Simon Pagenaud still, in the aero screen era, hasn't really competed to the same level that he did pre-aero screen era. He struggled at Team Penske, which obviously left him go from there. And then obviously Elio, I think Elio was never coming back to really compete for a championship. I mean, he may see willpower, but he's never won a championship, and his time, he's never won an IndyCar championship. Obviously, he won the sports car championship, didn't he, with Penske on that basis. But was it with Meyer Shank? He won it before he went into the full-time season. I want to say it was with Penske that he did it, but he's won the Rolex a couple of times now, hasn't he? Once with Shank and once with Wayne Taylor Racing. I'm spurting names now. You can correct me in chat if I've got it wrong.
You've gone into the murky waters of sports car racing.
I know. Very fair thing. Scott's already pulled me up. It was actually a three-peat for Frank Ketty, 2009, 10, and 11.
There we go.
They won championships. Franchitti was just an absolute beast in that era, and the Ganassi car was a bit of a beast as well. But yeah, my surprises, I would have to say, in terms of positive performance, were Malukas and Ilott.
Mm-hmm.
I think real standout performances from both. And for a driver, just because he's so good there and he got on fresh things, Scott Dixon. He never was in race winning contention. And even in championships in the past couple of years, I mean, I think last year he maybe didn't, but he was still there or thereabouts. But the previous year, where he won one race and I think came second in the other after pretty much dominating 2 races, like this is his stronghold. Like he's won so many races at Texas.
Yeah, that is true.
And he just didn't look like he had any answer to Newgarden and Pato.
Just with a top 5. And in the end, he did get a 5th.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like there was the Pato Newgarden level. No one matched it. But if you think on a short list of people that may have or should have been matching it, Dixon's probably on there and he just couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything there. Big question. Does Penske rebound at the 500? They've only had 2 top 10s in the last 3 years. Given Roger's fondness for the 500, that's a tough pill to swallow. That is an interesting one. Let's come on to that one. Let's round off Texas before we go. And I just want to finish off. Obviously, Joseph Newgarden. Again, could this be his year?
I love how we haven't even talked about Newgarden that much.
Yeah, exactly.
I know we're just chucking them in the roundup.
Yeah, it's mad. Right, Newgarden and Pato go hand in hand because they made that race in terms of the exceptional level that they drove. At times, Newgarden was driving an unbelievable race, but Pato was in a groove where he was just on fire. And the fact that Newgarden even managed to keep within 10 seconds of him within that period was an outstanding drive within itself, which then led him the opportunity to win the race later on. Because if Pato had kind of lapped Newgarden at that stage as well as he lapped every other car at that, it could have been curtains, really. Well, I suppose not, because everyone came onto the lead lap. But you know what I mean? Pato was so dominant at that stage. And Pato now leads the championship. Is that race the early sign of the 2 drivers going to compete be the main contenders for the championship this year?
It's Pato's best ever start to the season. Obviously, he's title. But the last few seasons, him and McLaren just haven't got it right at the start of the season. And they've been playing kind of catch up. Then they hit a couple of wins and they're in the fight. But this year, maybe this is the year that McLaren and Pato synergize to actually put on a challenge for Chip Ganassi and Penske. Because we haven't seen another team. When was the last smaller team? I say smaller team. I know McLaren are becoming a bit of a
we did this,
IndyCar
didn't
juggernaut.
we? Is it technically Panther Racing in 2003? Correct me if I'm wrong. That a team outside of Andretti Autosport, Chip Ganassi and Team Penske won the championship. I believe it was Panther Racing in 2003. I'm thinking I got Panther Racing right. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I'm doubting myself, but I believe that it was Sam Hornish Jr. who was the guy who won it.
That is the exciting prospect for me. They're not a small team anymore, but it's like they are kind of the underdogs compared to the established.
From where they've come from,
yeah.
Schmidt-Peterson has always been that kind of mid thing. Obviously, the partnership with McLaren has helped them kind of develop and grow. And now the Schmidt-Peterson part, although, you know, they are still involved within the team, just to kind of arrow McLaren, you know, it is a kind of serious intent from them. But all I would say is, in terms of for Pato's championship hopes, we spoke about Grosjean earlier in terms of he had 2 races that he could have won. Obviously, you know, this Texas was a looser one that he could have won, and he managed to not finish in the top 10 in either. Pato had 2 races where arguably he should have won.
but he's finished second.
Exactly.
If you're not going to finish first, you've got to finish second. And he leads the championship because he's been the most consistent driver this season so far.
Exactly. But yes, and you're saying Joseph Newgarden, is the title going to be between him and Pato? And I think with the form Newgarden was showing at the end of last year, we kind of expect him to carry it on.
It's the form he shows every season. Every season he's there. I cannot believe we've watched IndyCar full time since 2020. We maybe watched the odd 500 before that. Maybe an odd kind of race was in the background, but we didn't take thing. From 2020, we've watched every race. Pretty much. I think the odd ones we've been out the country and been there. But, we've followed every season in its entirety. Newgarden hasn't won a championship in that time, and I don't know how.
It is crazy. But he's on some serious form, and only bad luck is stopping him at the moment. And hopefully he's not going to be one of those drivers that you look back in the books and go, God, how has he only won 2 championships and no 500s?
Well, I think I made a comparison maybe last year at some point. I kind of was getting Will Power vibes from him of going, you just go, this guy is so, so good. Because remember in the early 2010s, Power was just consistently challenging for that championship year in, year out. And he only won it once. I mean, it's difficult to win a championship in IndyCar because the field is so competitive. There's so many talented drivers. And as soon as one talented driver leaves, 2 or 3 more are there to replace him. I know that doesn't kind of work out numbers-wise, but seat-wise. But you get the point I'm going. There just seems the series just gets more and more competitive.
For sure.
I'll go from there. Is Texas considered super speedway? Yes, Big C Burger. Rail Letman Lanigan has just finished building their huge $20 million headquarters. They're investing a lot of money, but not getting results yet. You kind of feel with Lundgaard, they definitely have a driver that maybe can go on. If Graham wants to step back and if they decide to lose faith in Jack Harvey, if there isn't seats available for Malukas and Ilott in other teams, they would be 2 very good young drivers for them to pick up. Even Arenas VK in that bracket. And if you brought in Arenas VK and Malukas, who are also back driver to invest in the team as well, you're not still going to compete with the financial might of the Ganassis and the Penske's or the Andretti's, or Arrow McLaren, but you at least give yourself a fighting chance. Yeah. So there's, it's still a very interesting team, I reckon. I hated Dario back then. Turns out I just hated Ashley. If the calendar goes to 20 races next year, where do they add? I'd guess Milwaukee, Mexico, and Richmond.
Is it rumoured we could go 20 races?
I think they've got to add another oval, especially off the back of that. 17? Yeah.
I can't see us jumping 3 races in a season.
Yeah, Watkins Glen would be great. Definitely would show the speed, I think, of the cars. It would be brilliant to see, but you just don't know. It's all to do with how NASCAR block it, isn't it? Because NASCAR pretty much own the circuits or have some influence in the circuits across America, and it's what charity they decide to give to us in IndyCar. McLaren have been a big team for a couple of years. I remember when Sam Schmidt was owner-driver. Yeah, you have to say they were a big, because obviously a couple of years ago, Polo's championship, it was Pato Polo right down to the final race, and Ed Jones. Sorry, I just activated PTSD for Stephen from the 2021 season. They go from there. They've come a long way in a short time, tough even with their resources. Exactly. Joseph's strength is that he runs well everywhere. For many years, Power's knock was the overgame was lacking. Absolutely. Draco Rosso, when are you coming to America? Well, I'm actually in America this weekend, but unfortunately not for racing terms.
Found me up in New York, confirmed.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, if anyone can spot me in New York, then yeah, please do come up and say hi. I'll make time for anyone. And for the schedule, Roger said recently he wants to add ovals. The series has said they want to do Mexico. Well, I think you've got to capitalize on Mexico. The Mexican racing fans are huge. They love Perez in Formula One. Obviously, he's now in a top drive there. They've got Pato, who is incredible within the IndyCar series. He's an incredible personality and great for driving another market for America. So Mexico makes complete sense to be on the calendar. And ovals, yes, and yes. We've got great road courses. We've got great street courses. A couple more ovals onto this calendar, and that would be absolutely blinding. I want IndyCar to come to the UK. It would be great for us, but probably not the series. If I'm thinking about, we've had this discussion, I think, many a times. But yeah, I don't think for the series, IndyCar isn't of the NASCAR could come to Europe. I think it has the size and financial backing in it to spread itself into the European scene.
Probably,
and could make a market like the NFL has
like
done.
the NFL, yeah.
Has done there. IndyCar is not big enough, does not have the financial backing to make any sort of influence into the UK, Europe, as much as there'd probably be a loyal fan base who would come to IndyCar races to kind of see it. Financially viable, it just doesn't make sense, as hard as that is to say, as an IndyCar fan stuck in the UK. Won't Detroit be pretty much a street oval this year? I guess, Don. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, yeah, we finally got Bel Air into a kind of a street race that, you know, was producing pretty great races, and we decided to scrap that. So we'll see how that goes.
Now on the actual streets of Detroit.
Absolutely. I think Scotty Mack proved his pace at St. Pete. Didn't have the race car on the day, but got good points. I think I like him for Long Beach. At Team S, Scott's car quali well, but not race. Yeah, it was. It was for that. Look, I think McLaughlin, again, he drives a very fine line between championship contender and very competitive driver in the season competing for race wins. I think he drives a very kind of fine line for that. So he's another one to watch out for. But again, where did Scott finish in the end? 6th or 7th?
Scotty Mack?
Yeah.
I want to say 6th.
Yeah. He avoided the Grosjean incident. He was the closest to kind of that.
6th?
So yeah, he finished 6th. Obviously could have won the race in St. Pete again. Could have made it back-to-back wins there. And I think he's very good. And he's maybe...
I think...
He's very good.
He's very good.
I just don't know. No, he is very good. Where I was going with that is out of Penske's drivers, for some reason, I just feel he's their best hope. I don't really have any precedent on that in terms of other than he adapted to ovals the quickest within the series. His first time at the Indy 500, he absolutely loved the experience and he was the best qualifier in his rookie season compared to kind of experienced Newgarden, Power, and Pagano was still racing for the team at that time. I think over I just don't know. Will Power obviously has won it, but he, like we're saying, he hasn't necessarily kicked off. Will his season kick off in time for the 500? Newgarden hasn't historically been great at the 500. So Scotty Mack, for me, I think is the best place to do do well at the Indy 500 for Team Penske? Stephen looks confused. He disagrees. Stephen, tear my opinion apart.
Tear in a bar.
I dare you. I dare you.
I think he's a great driver, but his best hope compared to Joseph Newgarden and Will Power, and just go because Joseph Newgarden has the results to go for it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Newgarden, since 2016, has pretty much been exceptional everywhere apart from Indy.
Always a first thing.
He's really consistent, Joseph Newgarden, just not at Indy. Will Power, hit or miss.
Fair enough. I'm not sure where Will is at. Maybe I'll put in Scott Emack above Will, but can I put him above Joseph Newgarden? No.
Throw it into chat. What do you think? What do you think? If winning a championship was easy, everyone would do it. Absolutely. Not only to ovals, but to open wheel. Yeah, absolutely. Huge Joe New fan, as you know, but I'm not sure I disagree. Scott's not sure he disagrees. There you go.
I kind of get it going on precedent. Joseph Newgarden's been pretty, for his standards, rubbish at the 500. And if you're not got the 500, then the 500 ain't going to give you anything. I don't know.
It's a bit like Colton Herter. He's qualified really well at Indy, but has he ever looked really competitive within that race? No. Is he super talented? Yeah. Talent means nothing at Indy. It don't mean nothing because obviously a lot of talented drivers have won the Indy 500. But what I mean is talent doesn't guarantee you anything at Indy 500.
Yeah.
I think is a better way of wording that. Turns out. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. 2 words, Michael Andretti. See, there you go. Wow, fantastic.
True.
I think you could probably say and 1 word, Andretti. I know Mario won it once, but arguably he probably should have had at least a couple of more.
Considering his success in the series.
Yeah, we won't bring up the Bobby Answer one. 82, was it? I'm going to say 82. We brought it up in a video in the history of IndyCar, didn't we? And obviously, I think when we spoke to Mario in an interview, we spoke about it. Not that, understandably, competitive guy. Almost tore apart the friendship. Because I think they kind of reconsolidated in their later years, but certainly in their racing time, it damaged their friendship that they had, for sure.
That's the stature of the 500 thing.
Yeah, Michael is remembered far more than Buddy Rice, absolutely. But yeah, Buddy Rice is an Indy 500 winner. But if I'm being... Is it harsh to say? During their kind of kart IRL iffy years, did the Indy 500 carry as much weight? Or it carried the same amount of weight, of course, but did the caliber of driver stay the same as what it has done in pretty much every other era of the sport? That would be what I would say. I know Buddy Rice was kind of at the tail end of that when the kind of IRL would kind of beat kart out. I think kart had collapsed. I think, am I saying 2004 right for Buddy Rice? And then who was the Swedish guy who won it for Foyt in 98? He was a very good driver. But yeah. Anyway, I go off on a tangent. We've been going for about an hour. This is probably a good time to round off the first IndyCar show.
IndyCar show.
We'll try and do as many as we can. Kenny Brack. That is the Swedish guy I was thinking of. Talented driver. Also had that big G crash that basically ended his racing career. at Texas, if I'm not wrong, which is a nice way to kind of come full circle back to Texas. 2003, I'm going to say, with that crash. Pluck that one out.
Nice. Let's end on a happy note, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, super good, guys. Cheers, Don. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone who's been a part of chat. If you're watching this when it's not live, hope you've enjoyed the discussion in there. If you want to be part of the IndyCar show next time, obviously, we'll try and schedule the streams as much as possible to give you some forewarning of when we're going to go live. Get in chat, even if it's for like 10, 15 minutes. Try and get your say, and we'll try and have as many discussions as possible from that chat. Anything more from you today, Stephen?
I'm looking forward to Long Beach.
I'm
Texas is, you get St. Pete, you're like, IndyCar's back, and then you have to wait a month. But then now it feels like the season's getting some momentum. We've got 2-week break. Well, it's basically, 2 weeks in between the races. And Texas was an absolute belter. Possibly could be the race of the season. So when we look back, it could be the race of the season. And it's just got me so excited about what's to come.
Yeah.
Especially as we near the month of May. And of course, the Indy 500.
Ah! Oh, Indy. It is the greatest spectacle in racing. Best race of the year. Every year.
I feel like it could be absolutely crazy this year.
If Indy, like I think Scott kept on saying, Jack, Indy is a beast of its own. But if it does perform anything like the Super Speedway in Texas, then we are going to have a hell of an Indy 500 this year, and it's going to be absolutely incredible.
For sure.
Right. Well, if you're new around here or haven't done so already, what can they do, Stephen?
They can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it. So for now, you Indy fans, keep racing.